on guys, what's poppin'? It is your boy Trav Clav, and today we're going to be talking about the most mind-blowing conspiracy theories. So, I know you guys have been waiting for this kind of video, and I know it's been a while since I've uploaded again. Haven't uploaded for like 2 months. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is 9/11. 9/11 is one of the biggest events in our history, and the event involved almost 3,000 people dying and 4 planes crashing, and it involved 2 aircraft that were hijacked that hit the World Trade Center, and 1 hitting the Pentagon and 1 hitting Pennsylvania. So the first conspiracy theory we're going to be talking about on this subject is the World Trade Center coming down like a demolition. So some people were thinking that the planes didn't do enough damage to make the buildings collapse, and that there were bombs that were just placed around it to complete the collapses of both the 2 buildings. I mean, I think that the planes just did enough damage to make the buildings collapse, to be honest. But at the same time, it confuses me how a plane can just slice through a building like that, like a knife slicing through butter. Which leads to the next theory that a plane shouldn't be made to slice through a building. I'm talking any kind of plane. And if you guys want more proof into what I'm talking about, I can show you guys a quick clip. If you guys don't like seeing that kind of stuff, I advise that you either click away from the video or skip to the numbers that I'm about to put on the screen. Without further ado, here's the clip. It's awful. Now the third thing we're going to be talking about is the theory that the hijackers flown the planes themselves, which I think is kind of obvious at this point, but I'll explain what happened. So the first thing the hijackers would do was get up out of their seats and around like the first class area, and they would start stabbing the flight attendants and the passengers with box cutter knives, and they would like spray mace in the lobbies, and the hijackers faked a bomb on board, and some people were saying that they heard screams coming from the plane, forced the passengers to the back of the aircraft, and they would somehow find their way into the cockpit. And I'm thinking they either forced a flight attendant to open the cockpit door with like a key or something, or they might have just knocked on the door and the pilots maybe opened it. I don't know, a lot of things could have happened. And when the hijackers started to gain entry, they would kill the pilots by slitting their throats, and they would bring one of the hijacker pilots to fly the plane. So yeah, it's really heartbreaking. So now the second conspiracy theory topic we're going to be talking about is 5G causing the coronavirus. So the reason they put together 5G and the coronavirus was because 5G has caused a lot of public health issues over the years, and 5G causes radiation, which triggers the virus. And some were thinking that during the installation of the towers that it was all a cover-up for the whole corona thing. In my opinion, I think 5G is not even capable of spreading corona. So let me explain something. So here's a corona ball, right? 5G would just zap it. So yeah, and even the World Health Organization pointed out that 5G doesn't spread it. And then if there was actual evidence that 5G was actually spreading the virus, 5G networks would not be a thing right now. But who knows, you know, there's things out there that we don't know. So now on to the next theory we're going to be talking about is the government killing JFK. So a lot of people in America believe that Lee Oswald didn't act alone. And if you guys don't know who that is, that's JFK's killer. And there was a biographer named Philip Shannon, however you pronounce his name. He claimed that Kennedy's brother Bobby thought that the CIA had something to do with his brother's death. In which I'm kind of getting a feeling that the government may have had something somewhat to do with JFK's death. And I'm thinking racism could be a part, because he had segregation laws set up splitting the blacks from the whites, which is hella fucked up. So the second part of this theory that we're going to be talking about is something called the grassy knoll. So the reason they called it this is something that I'm later going to explain here in a few seconds. So some people believe that there was a secondary gunman, and the reason some people think this is because in 1976 a committee on assassinations reinvestigated the killing of JFK and Martin Luther's, and that made them come to the conclusion that there was probably a second shooter in the grassy knoll, in which, if you guys don't know what that is, it's a hill that overlooked the site where Kennedy was assassinated. But then in 1982, another committee examined all the evidence, and they found that reliable acoustic data do not support a conclusion that there was a second gunman. So there's basically like 2 sides of this part, from what I'm seeing. So now on to the next theory we're going to be talking about that's related to this subject is called the Umbrella Man. So some people came up with this theory because, as you guys can see in the picture, there's a guy standing with an umbrella when nobody around in the picture is using one. and the cars are driving past them. And it's a hot sunny day, and a lot of people were curious why someone would want to use an umbrella when it isn't raining. And some other people were thinking that it could be a signal for the assassin to kill JFK, or the guy could have shot a poison dart, which in my opinion I don't think happened, because JFK was clearly shot. Or the guy could have just been using an umbrella because maybe that's what makes him happy, like not trying to like harm anybody else. I don't know. I mean, the theory lives on. So there's also another theory that it could be a mob hit, meaning like something to do with the mafia. And some people were thinking that the mafia helped JFK win an election, or maybe betrayed him or something. And there's some other people thinking that Ted Cruz's father was somehow involved, because there's a picture of him and Oswald just having fun together with some friends. And there were some reports that said that they were caught having breakfast together, but I couldn't find any evidence on the internet. But if we're talking out of all of these conspiracy theories, I think the one that sounds the most possible, in my opinion, would be the government having something to do with it. Because I honestly think the CIA must have hid something. You don't have to agree with me, which is fine. But yeah, from what I know, that's all the conspiracy theories. Let me know if you guys know anything else that I should review in another video. So now to the fourth big conspiracy theory we're going to be talking about is the moon landing being fake. And I know what some of y'all may be thinking to yourselves, like, how can the moon landing be considered fake? I mean, you've seen all the evidence, you've seen pictures, videos, and documentaries and stuff, right? But some conspiracists have argued that NASA staged the landing and that the CIA is keeping it a whole secret. So some people were coming up with this idea because the flag was moving in the wind and there was no stars in the sky, as you guys can see in the background. I mean, thinking about it a little bit, the government does hide some things. Like, let's take Area 51, for example, which I'm going to talk about more later in the video. They have all kinds of stuff there they don't want to share with the world. And I'm sure Joe Biden, our new president, was told some of this, and I don't know, was told to keep it a secret. He's good at keeping secrets or something like that. So your boy Wynn did some digging and found some good info, so I'm gonna read it with y'all. So in claim 1, they're talking about the wind catching up with a flag, and in response to this theory, they said that the astronauts decided to use a right-angled rod to keep the flag spread out. And Armstrong and Aldrin accidentally bent it a little bit, which is why the flag looks like it's catching up with the wind. And the astronauts were also worried if the flagpole fell down, they wouldn't be able to get their photos in quick enough. Now in the second claim, it's talking about how there were no stars seen in the background. And in response to this theory, a person named Emily Drubeck-Monder, however you pronounce that name, in London said that the shutter speeds on the astronauts' cameras were too fast to capture the star's light. In which, that's kind of got me confused, to be honest. Because in outer space, you don't see stars just zooming around all over the place. Because that would be like a UFO thing or something. I mean, unless the astronauts saw a UFO and never said anything about it or something like that. Or maybe something could have been wrong with the camera, I don't know. Now in the third claim, someone said that the spacecraft didn't scatter any dust and it didn't leave a crater from the rocket blast. That slowed it down while it was descending, and then when it hit, it didn't seem like any dust was like scattered around. And in response to this theory, Emily said that while landing on the moon, the module was traveling horizontally for some time. So like the thrusters weren't like pointed down to where it would like kick up all the dust. In which she's right, the dust was getting thrown up. Maybe it just wasn't on video or something. But yeah, the moon landing was, you know, legit, from what I think too. Alright guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed that vid. Make sure y'all punch the like button in the face, comment something nice, subscribe to your boy, turn the notification bell on. So yeah, it's been your boy Trevor, and I'm on this bitch. Peace.